Keep going and don't give up. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I want to welcome you guys to the Driven Show, and I am your host with the most, Coach T, coming straight out of Texas. Can I tell you, I'm originally from Pontiac, Michigan, but I'm currently residing in Texas. And so I want you guys to do me a favor before we get started. I want you to like this video, I want you to share this video, I want you to make sure that you tag some of your family, your friends in this video because we have an amazing I can't even tell you how much she does because when I tell you she does a lot, I'm gonna let her introduce herself. But when I tell you she's a reverend, she's a coach, she's a artist. Like when I say so much, oh, an author, a speaker. When I say, and I can't even name how much she does because she's a woman of many hats. But I'm so proud to be able to call her my friend, my sister, and most importantly, my cousin. So I'm so excited to have her on the show. So I need you guys to make sure you do something special for me, and that is share this video, tag somebody in this video, and welcome to the Driven Show. And so I want to tell you guys some more about the Driven Show. The Driven Show, it's designed for you, designed for business owners. It's designed for anyone that has a purpose and you're driven by your purpose. We want you to come on here and tell your story, talk more about your business, and let people know who you are. Because I know sometimes when things happen in our life, it's like we want to know how we can show up in the world. Well, guess what? You come tell your story because you're going to help heal somebody. You're going to help set somebody free. And so, like I said, I got this amazing guest all the way from Tennessee. And yes, she's a native of my hometown of Pontiac, Michigan, but that's not where she was born, I don't believe. So she's going to come on here and tell you more about herself. So you guys stay tuned. Hey, Reverend Melvina, how are you?
Hi, how are you doing, T? Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too, sister. All is
Yes,
well.
it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yes. So can you tell our viewers where are you from and where you're originally from and what you do?
I am currently living in the Metro Nashville, Tennessee area, and I am a yes, I am from Pontiac, Michigan.
Mhm.
From Pontiac, Michigan, and I was born there. Not completely raised there, but yes, I was born. I am a Pontiacan from St. Joseph Mercy Hospital.
Whoop whoop.
I am currently a wow, you said it all. Life coach, counselor, minister. I am a cognitive health specialist, and I work with a lot of people dealing with a lot of healing traumas, starting most times from childhood.
Mhm.
I'm helping them to find their inner peace, find their inner joy, and recover from a lot of things that they don't know the triggers. They don't understand where the triggers are.
Mhm.
A Reiki master as well. Um, and you named off so many other things.
Right. That's what I told him. Like you a woman of many hats. And so I didn't want to everything, but I kind of did, but they understand. I'm just happy. I'm proud of what you do because you do so much for so many people.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate all you do as well.
All right, thank you. So, can you tell us with all of that? Because I hear when you told me everything that you do from the writing the book, from being the specialist, being a counselor, and the Reiki master, and just all of the things combined, a healer. That's what I hear. So, what brought you on this movement and journey of becoming a healer?
Wow. Initially, it started with me and my own healing.
Mhm.
But during my own healing, I started to understand a lot of it came from some things, again, from childhood. I had to go back. It was a 20-year period of healing. You know, most people, you don't think it would take that long, but sometimes it actually can. Um, I had to go back and start asking the why questions. I got tired of waking up in the middle of the night crying about situations that were coming back to my memory. Um, so, then when I had my own bout with depression and attempted suicide, that was the beginning of me asking the questions, why do I feel this way? What's going on? And I had to look back at a lot of things. I had to ask a lot of questions. I had to understand some things about the people, well, my parents, they raised me the best way they could. I had to learn and understand forgiveness. I had to get past anger. I had to get past ego.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, it was exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
It and because of that, a lot of the things that I actually did you could say I did my own counseling to myself.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds
Mm-hmm.
kind of crazy,
No, it
but
does. Mm-mm.
when I went to the psych ward for taking pills, that was my wake up call. It was like, what are you doing and why are you here? And ma'am, it is really, I had to start looking at why I was doing this. I had to really reverse the whole cycle and just go into this space of understanding. A lot of things that my siblings didn't want to talk about, I always had questions. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to go back to, okay, how did my mother grow up? What did she deal with growing up? What did my dad grow up with? And a lot of people don't understand that some of the things that your parents grow up with, if they haven't healed from those things, it transfers to the children.
Mm. You're
You
talking
know,
good today. Mm-hmm.
the mother, if she has trauma that she hasn't dealt with, or even if she's pregnant and she's dealing with anything negative, that baby is carrying that, especially if that mother isn't getting healed.
So wait a minute, Melvina, because I hate to interrupt you because you said something that was so profound. And I don't know if people realize that because of the simple fact the mother is the carrier. She's carrying life. And so everything that she's feeling, experiencing, and
Mhm,
her
mhm,
traumas, her
mhm,
traumas,
mhm.
they go into that baby. They go
Yes.
into the baby. So you said like if the mother hasn't healed, if the father hasn't healed, but because life is given from the mother, it's like it'll go into the child. And so this child is born with all of this fear, anxiety, they
Mhm,
stressed out and don't even know why, because
mhm.
it wasn't so much that it was them, but it was the trauma that was done to their body, done to their DNA. And so that's where the generational curses come
Bam.
into place. Bam,
Mhm,
bam,
mhm,
bam. And I
mhm.
had to say that because so many people are going to watch this and they're watching this and they're like, dang, that generational curses, that childhood trauma. Look, my mama, I'm breaking a cycle that my mama had, but she never told me that she experienced this because we was not able to talk about this or we didn't know how to ask those questions. So
Mhm.
back to you, Melvina. Keep going because you preaching tonight. I need people to hear this, and I'm praying that they listening. So keep going, Melvina.
So when I look back at those situations, even it goes back further to not just my initial parents. I had to go back to my grandparents. Tell that story. This is things like you said, they weren't able to talk about things. My parents grew up like that. My grandmother, these are some things that my family don't talk about, but I have to say I was blessed that my grandmother opened up to me and told me so much. My dad talked to me and told me so much. So I had pieces of puzzle. I had the pieces of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them, but I had enough to form enough like, okay, since nobody else is asking the questions, since nobody else is giving me the answers, I had to seek them the best way I could.
Mm-hmm.
A grandmother, excuse me, she had a child by a young man that his mother rejected.
Mm.
So you have a woman who has a child now by a man that she was in love with, but because his mother rejected the baby, he rejected the baby.
Mm.
So another man came along, took her and her child in. They had got married, had kids. Lo and behold, 5 years later, this man wants to come back into my mother's life to be a part of her life. And she went off to be with him for the weekend or whatever, week or whatever. She wasn't
Mhm.
there a week. She wasn't even there. I don't even know how long it was very short because she came back and she told her mother, my grandmother, that she didn't want to see him ever again. She was 5 years old.
Wow.
My grandmother said she couldn't understand. She said she never talked about it or anything. She didn't ask her why. My mother never said anything. She was only 5.
Mhm.
She just
Mhm.
said, I'll never want to be with, I don't want to ever want to go there ever again. But she said
Mhm.
my mother also would cry a lot.
Mhm.
One thing I remember when my grandmother told me that, when I was, what, 3 years old, my mother, I'm sorry, would have these crying spells in
Mm.
the, in the room. I remember this clear as a bell. I didn't understand it, but I remember seeing it. In the
Mhm.
bedroom, she would be on the bed just screaming and hollering, screaming and hollering, screaming. I would stand there at the doorway. I didn't understand it. Nobody
Mhm.
talked about it. I'm only 3 years old, so what are they gonna tell me?
Right.
Um, Stop that story. You see what that cycle is. And not only that, go for it. She was married once. My older sibling's father. I don't know what happened in that marriage. I don't know. No one's saying anything, but they got divorced. She ended up
Mhm.
with another man who she ended up moving to Gary with, who was abusive. She ended up on, drinking. She drank a lot of beer. She drank a lot. I'm not saying it to make my mom look bad, but that's where she was on her journey in her life.
Mhm.
She met my dad somehow because this man was also abusive. They weren't doing really good. And at that time, she had my 3 siblings. So she met my dad. My dad somehow got her out of that situation and they ended up together.
Mhm.
Stop that story. Go to my dad. His dad. Now, this is going to blow your mind.
Mhm.
My father's father, which is my grandfather, was the product of a slave and a slave owner.
Mm.
He married another woman who I believe, was a slave. She was already married to someone else who was my grandmother's actual father, but somehow they can't. I don't know if he was taken away. Because when you're slaves, they separated families.
Yeah. Mhm.
So the only thing we can think of, because I'm like, well, where's my grandfather? Where was my grandmother's father at? He wasn't in the
Mhm.
picture because this man was not her father. He married her mother, and her mother died. She was 13 years old. This man, who was a product of a slave and a slave owner, married my great grandmother. Great grandmother died. He married my grandmother.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Mhm.
Had kids by her and had kids by her sister.
Mhm. Okay.
See the pattern.
Yeah, I see the
So,
pattern. Yeah.
mhm. My dad was 5 years old. This man was abusive. You see, already it was bad. He's having kids by 2 sisters. So they had to
Mhm.
protect the third sister. There was another sister. They had to keep him away from her because, from what I'm understanding, is my grandmother had to run from this man.
Mhm.
She was always running from this man, trying to save her life or get away from him and her kids. And he found her. Next thing you know,
Mm.
there's another child. So they had about 5 siblings. One of them died when he was little. But the abuse my dad saw when he was 5, he wanted to protect his mom and he couldn't. Got older, almost killed his father because he was steadily putting his hands on his mother. That relationship finally ended. She got married and went off to someone else. But what I'm saying is, you see how it's on both sides of the spectrum.
Yes.
So this is all the stuff I had to pull up and
Mhm.
understand. And I had to ask the questions where I could get them,
Mhm.
and had to make sense as to why I went through what I went through. My siblings went through what they went through.
Mhm.
Why we reacted to certain things, how we were raised, our mindsets and everything. And when you can look at stuff from that perspective, it's easier. It should be easier to say, okay, these are the cards that we were dealt.
Mhm.
We have to be able to understand it, forgive it, figure out how you fit into that picture, what part you play in it, and work your way through it so you can get back to who you are, where you want to be now, and let the past
Mhm.
go, because you can't change it. You can only grow from it.
That's powerful. You can't change your past, but you can grow from it. Because I also believe that we can change our narrative,
Mhm.
even though so many times things do happen to us, and like you just had to go back, you had to go back some years to figure out what happened. I love the fact that you were able to find that research. You may, do the research,
Mhm.
because some people are not so fortunate to find those answers. So it's good to be able to look in your look in your history, because you need to know who you are, where you come from, and
Yes.
then what everybody had experienced, because some people were slaves, some people were not. But the thing is, it's just good to know who you are and where you come from. So I
Yes.
want to say thank you for that bit of history, because people need to know, you need to do the work, because sometimes they just be looking like they did something wrong. You didn't do anything wrong.
Mhm.
It just happened to your family. So now, as a generational curse breaker, you got to say, I'm going to stop it. And you're
Yes.
going to start speaking up. And I like the fact that you ask questions. So, how has finding out who you are made you a better woman today?
There's a time when I wasn't so forgiving about things that have happened to me. If you were to read my book, you'd be like, wow, this should be one angry person.
Mm-hmm.
I got tired of being angry, and I had to realize the one thing that I learned when I was going to church. I would hear the pastor or someone, one of the leaders say, hurt people, hurt people.
Mm.
You have some people who hurt people on purpose, and some people who do things unbeknownst, they don't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are programmed, it comes through the genes and stuff. I'm pretty sure no one ever comes into this world saying, well, you know what, I think I want to, when I'm born, I want to be a rapist,
Mm-hmm.
or I want to be a murderer. No one ever thinks about that. This is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That gene thing you speak of is real.
It is.
It is real. It transfers. Even though the mother is the womb carrier and her emotions do go in there, that gene is still in there because those chromosomes
Connect. Mm-hmm.
connect.
And form a
So,
baby.
you know the old saying, the old song from, I forgot who it was. She get it from her mama, but you get it from both your parents.
Both.
It takes two to make that child.
Mm-hmm.
And
Are those
so,
children?
yes, those children. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I I had to look at, like I said, all the aspects of everything that I went through. And because of it, I do that with everyone else now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so easy for me to take one side of the spectrum, even though ego wants me to sometimes. And sometimes you really just I just don't feel like, being I don't want to be the upper hand. I don't want to take the high road. I want to be mad. And it's
Yeah.
okay to be mad. It's how you use that energy.
Mm-hmm.
You could do just as bad as the next person who did something wrong to you, or you can just cut it off.
Mm-hmm.
You can make the decision. I could try to pursue this, but at the same time, do I have the energy? Do I want to? And what benefit is it helping me right now? Am I going to grow from it? Or am I going to go deeper and deeper into bitterness and darkness and low level energy? What do you want for your life? Do you want peace? Do you want joy? Do you want happiness?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what are you speaking? What are you looking for? What are you thinking about? And what are you holding on to?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what got me to where I am now.
I'm so happy that it allowed you to show up. Like, you get the questions answered, but I'm glad that you're right where you need to be. So
Mhm.
can you tell us, like, if somebody wanted to become a client of yours, because you offer so many different services, how can they find you?
I am basically on all social medias. You can reach me on Facebook at
Mm-hmm.
Reverend. No, I take that back. I changed it. Coach Melvina Ford. That's Coach Melvinia. Last name Ford, like the car, Ford. You can reach me on Instagram at Rebirth Holistic Healing. You can reach me on Twitter at Rebirth Men 11. That would be capital RE, capital BIRTHMIN 11. That's my handle on Twitter. And on, I believe, not in LinkedIn, I am Reverend Melvina Ford, REV dot Melvina Ford, Melvinia, last name Ford.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I want you guys to know she mentioned everything. She spelled it out, and I like how she did that. But it will be included in the link. So make sure y'all read the links. But I wanted her to say it. Okay, so what message are can you tell us some of the services that you provide? I know you do the different things, but tell them some of the services, the one-on-ones or whatever you
Mhm.
want our audience to know.
So I do coaching and counseling, holistic coaching and counseling. I'm also a minister, so it's all of that's entangled. I do one-on-ones. I do group counseling if some people are interested in group counseling, because sometimes it's not easy for someone to do it by themselves. So if you know a group of women, hey, we can have a group women sessions. Do that. I do packages. I also do cognitive behavioral healing. I do meditation therapy. There's a session that I'm getting ready to bring up here called the why session, which is where I was talking to you earlier, to help you go through the triggers and the traumas to figure out
Mhm.
where you are and why you're where you're at. You ask the why questions. Um, and then I also have a healing workbook. So some people who really aren't ready to do a face to face, but a healing workbook can help you to start working on those things that you want to work on. And then you can, if you feel like after you've done the workbook, you can go right ahead and set up a session if you feel like you need to go a little bit further to dive deeper, because diving deeper is not always easy. Sometimes those triggers come and you need someone to kind of say, okay, it's okay. I'll walk you through it.
I love that. So, can people just purchase the workbook by itself? Did you say that? Because I want to make sure that people know how important it is to get this workbook.
The workbook, you can contact me at my email, which is rebirthdimension@gmail.com. It is electronic. I'm going to start creating some hard copies, but right now, if you want it electronic, you can get it like that. I can get it to you. Email me and request that copy, and a copy of it is $15.
Okay. So I want you guys to make sure y'all tap into Reverend Melvina because she is so amazing. And I love all of her offerings because when I say she does so much, you can't get what you need from her. And the good thing is a holistic approach. So just know that what you need, you will get it from her. So don't be afraid to tap in to get what you are looking for, because so many times we be looking for resources and need the help and don't know how to go get it. But as you can hear and see what she just said, like, I did the work on myself first. So I want to commend her for doing the work on yourself. And I love the fact that you said something about you had those why questions. So it was for a purpose that you wanted to know why. So now you can help heal somebody else as to why, because
That's
they want to know why. And so sometimes growing up, we didn't ask those questions because we didn't know how to ask the questions, because in our families they didn't talk about certain things. It's not that they didn't want to, they just didn't, excuse me, they just didn't know how to. And so
right.
now we living in an age and a day when kids got questions, everybody got questions. So
Mhm.
let's help heal each other. And that's why I
Definitely.
said she's a healer, because I love that there are many different type of ways to heal a person. And so this is how she's showing up in her community. So y'all tap into her. Like, there's no questions, if, answer, buts. Tap into her. I'm gonna make sure all of her information is on our website, our Facebook page. So make sure you come to our Facebook page, and it's going to be included in this link so that way you can connect to Melvina. So Melvina, is there anything else you want our audience to know? Do you have any more words of encouragement or anything you would like for our viewers to hear?
The one catchphrase, one of my taglines, and I always use this in most of my postings or anything I say, I try to say it because I think it's really important that we know, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're facing, no matter what you're afraid of, take the time to look at it, examine it, see where you fit in, and most of all, rise from the ashes, because no matter what it is, there's always a transformation coming. And in that transformation, there's always a new you.
That was powerful. So I just want to say again, Melvina, thank you for being a guest on our show. And we would love to have you back in the future because I love what you are doing. And people need to hear it, they need to see it, and they need to also experience it, because in this day that we are living in, it's so uncertain, but we're learning to go with the flow of energy. And so what we do is a type of energy healing. And so I love that about you. So continue to always spread love and light to individuals that need it the most. And so I just wanted to make sure all your heart is clear. You don't have anything else to say before we close for the evening.
I just want to say thank you for allowing me to take part in your show. I appreciate you. I love you to pieces, and I am so very proud of you.
Thank you so very much. All right. Well, we want to say thank you again, Reverend Melvina, for being here. And we look forward to having you again soon. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, guys, I want to say thank you for tuning in this week. Each and every week, we're going to have a special guest. And so, we want to thank Melvina for coming to our show today because when I tell you she's so amazing, she's just that. And so, I like to give people their flowers while they can see them. And so, I wanted to make sure she knew that we see her, we celebrate her, and we thank God for her each and every day. And again, oh, you know what? I still have her here because she didn't do something. I'm gonna bring her back. Hold on before we leave. Hold on. I know I don't do this transition like traditionally, but she forgot to mention something. So I'm gonna bring her right back up. So Reverend Melvina, we forgot to do something. Ooh, you gonna get it and I'm gonna get it too. So we are part of an organization. Lord help us
Yes,
both.
yes.
So what is the name of the organization we are a part of?
We are a part of the All, which is All Ladies League, G100, Oneness and Wisdom. This is
Yes.
an all women's organization. It is global,
Mhm.
and we have, I don't know how many state chairs right now, women, and we also have city chairs. And when I say it's the best thing since sliced bread, if you ever want to come into a sisterhood that is honestly real. Most people say sisterhood, they think of quote unquote, I'm just gonna keep it real nice, one certain culture. But this is a sisterhood of oneness, literally, because we are all connected, all of us. I don't care where you are in the world. We're all sisters, and we all have the same heart for each other. We lift each other up, we support each other, we're there for each other, and we share. So I am the, what am I? Tennessee State Chair for Tennessee. And if you are listening here, and if you want to be a city chair for Tennessee, if you're in the state, I welcome you. And Teresa,
And guys, I am a state chair for Arizona. So if you want to be a city chair, you make sure you inbox me directly, and I will love to have you on our show. Because I mean, not our show, but in our organization. Because when I tell you, it's an opportunity for you to grow globally, not just locally, not just in your city, not just in your state. So you need to tap in. So All Ladies League, which is ALLG 100, Oneness and Wisdom. And so we both are excited to be on on
yes,
that platform. And the thing is, I was gonna let you get away, but you see how the universe works. I was like, she ain't going nowhere. Let me bring her back because we need people to know because that is a sisterhood that we both love. And I had to take a sabbatical for a moment because there was some things going on in my family, my health, and just a lot of stuff, but they still love me. They still were there for me, and I'm showing up as myself. And so I'm so glad Melvina was able to come back and bring us that good news. And so we're gonna just close from off of here. And I just want to say, make sure y'all tune in every week. We love to see new faces. We love guests from all over the world. If you are in Michigan, if you are in Texas, if you are in Albuquerque, if you are wherever you are, just come to the show. You can take off your hat, you can take off your makeup, you come natural. Just come as your authentic self. And right now there is a fee to be on the show. And so you are making an investment of $50 and it's going back into the program. It's going back into the business. And so I just want you guys to know we thank you for the support. We thank you for your comments. We thank you for your reviews. So make sure y'all get them reviews up, get them comments in, and follow up with our business owners because they coming on here and our anybody that tells a story. you need to pour into them. Make sure you connect to them. So this not you just coming and listening, getting this information. No, we're going to tap in. We're going to connect because it's all about networking. So
Mhm.
y'all make sure y'all invest in yourself, invest in your vision, invest in your business and your brand. So I thank you all for coming, and I'll see y'all next week. Stay tuned for another show. Bye, guys, and thank you again, Melvina.
You're welcome.
Okay.